morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to our podcast, Talk to Them. I'm your host, Kennitha Wade.
And I'm your other host, Renauda Mitchell.
And it's Sunday.
It is Sunday.
It's always Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good morning. It feels good outside.
Mm-hmm. It does. I didn't wear a coat or a hoodie or nothing. Then I was like, oh, when I get in there, I hope it ain't cold. Because I'm going to be sitting there shivering and trying not to shiver.
I put this on thinking I had pockets and I realized
you don't have pockets either.
And I was like, I just got to
That's stressful.
It is. I really need pockets. That's like my safety net.
It is a whole comfort blanket that you take with you and people don't look at you like you crazy.
It is, because otherwise, I'll be watching. I know I'll just be here.
Just be fiddling and just like...
fiddling and rocking.
I need to stop my hands from doing stuff.
No, I'm going to try to do better today. I'm going to try not to do all the rocking I'll be doing. That's a comforting thing. I think
it is.
Yeah, it is. Like rocking and rubbing. I'll be rubbing. Like,
I rubbing bad. And I'll be like, and then I'll be like, I'll notice people notice and I'll be like,
dang.
Don't even know what I'm comforting myself from, just doing it.
I feel like I got a little bit of autism. That's how I comfort myself.
It is what it is. I feel like everybody does.
Yeah.
I feel like it's varying levels. It's more noticeable in some people than it is in others.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we learn about the stuff out there, the more we find out, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should go get an assessment and see just where I'm at so I know what I'm doing. Go talk to somebody, get some tools to help me, figure out my stuff.
Lately, I've really been thinking about going to get assessed for ADHD because I feel like, I know we're supposed to be talking about our week, but this
we'll get to it.
Yeah. I really feel like there are times where it feels so hindering. Like I could be getting so much more done if I could organize my thoughts and like focus on one thing so that I could start it and finish it without any interruptions in between because my mind sees something and go squirrel. You know what I mean? Like, what can I do? Although, at the same time, I don't know that I want to be on medication, but maybe I need to be.
I don't know. I'm more of an anti-medication kind of person unless it's like severe circumstances, like you really need this to be able to function through your daily life. Like and that's for me personally. I'm not talking about what I feel for other people. But I feel like if you can, it's like we were talking the other day and I was like, oh, I'm going to clean my room. And you're like, did you get your room done? I was like, no, because I was cleaning my room and the kitchen and the bathroom and then the hallway. And then the other day I'm like, I'm going to clean the kitchen. Then I went and put something in the closet where I have bags. Now I had a bag full of bags. My kids just decided to just throw bags in the closet because it's the bag closet. I'm like, that's not how that works. So then I went and emptied out from there. Now, mind you, I'm cleaning the kitchen. And I went to go put something in that closet. And then I was like, oh, you know what I can do? I can empty out a basket. And then I went to my room. My basket was full of clothes. But I seen Renata's, something of hers was in my room. So I went to take it to her. And I was like, hey, keep your stuff out of my room. Then I was like, hey, I'll use your basket for the basket. Because her basket was just laying there with nothing in it but a dryer sheet. So I was like, I'm going to use this. Then I went and I did the basket full of bags and I organized that closet, put the brooms and the Swiffer and all that stuff in there. And then I organized the top. And I went and sat down in my room. I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be cleaning my room. And then I cleaned up my room and I went to take a cup in the kitchen. I was like, no, I was supposed to be cleaning the kitchen. Because I was cleaning up the kitchen because I wanted to cook. But when I got in there to cook, the kitchen was just not in a space where I wanted to cook in it. So I was like, I'm going to clean up the kitchen so I can cook. But I did 12 other things to do the kitchen so I can cook.
And it's a constant cycle.
And it's like that. And that's why cleaning up is so stressful for me. Because it's like, so I would like my thoughts organized so I can be like, you know what? I'm going to clean. Oh, you know what I see? You know what I seen? This woman who had the same issue, she has a cart that she takes with her from room to room as she cleans. Okay. And so she had showed her cleaning up her room and it was like, this stuff goes to the kitchen, this stuff. So, and it was in front of the door. So she can't be like, oh, I'm going to, she's like, oh no.
She don't have to leave the room to take care of that.
Maybe that's what we need to kind of help, at least with the cleaning stuff. I don't know where that came from. I seen that like a year or two ago.
Okay then.
But I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And then forgot about it until now. But maybe since this is happening, I'll remember.
Man, we need a cart. Yeah. I've been happy this week because the kids have really stepped up cleaning around the house. So I guess we'll talk about our weeks and we can keep talking about whatever we're talking about. I'm sure there are a lot of people who can resonate with this conversation because I know we ain't the only ones with ADHD.
We not.
Undiagnosed ADHD issues. But the kids, spring break, kids have been home all week.
Yeah.
And, we talked last week. I didn't have anything planned. You didn't have nothing planned. It's like, I don't know what these kids are going to do to stay busy this week. But they're going to be at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did pretty well. They kept the house clean all week. Even though the two oldest ones left for a little bit, they went to my cousins. And they're the ones that do most of the cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh, goodness, what are these two younger ones going to do to the house? And they was like, Mom, when we get back, are we going to be responsible for the mess they made? And it's like, no, they didn't leave a mess.
Right.
They maintained it. Now, they didn't clean to the same level that the older kids do, but they did maintain it for the most part. Once in a while I had to say something about their dish here or there, but it wasn't at all like it normally is. So I appreciated that. But they got home and it was kind of surprising. Like, oh, they didn't do bad. You're right. Because normally I feel like they act like they live outside and they have no care in the world. But so that was nice this week to not have to worry about a clean house just because they're home all week.
Mine did pretty good too. Like I was like, because we were having a conversation offline about why is it such a struggle? Did we talk about that on here? I can't remember. But like, why is it such a struggle? And what we need to do to, whatever. As soon as I told them about the wall sits and everything else they was gonna have to do, and that also meant I was still taking Wi-Fi and electronics and whatever else you find fun in that room. They were like, oh, okay, she must be serious. I'm like, I don't know why y'all didn't think I was serious before, because I was, but apparently, and I told them, I said, and you know what? And I know Donald started watching the podcast, but I told them, I'm not even going to be the one that's coming to monitor y'all wall sits. G's coming over to do it. I haven't talked to G about nothing, but they were like, because with your mom that's telling you stuff all the time, you can kind of like, with my kids anyway, they can kind of have a conversation, negotiate this, that, and other. No, we're not negotiating anything because y'all can't negotiate with G about it. You know what I'm saying? So have fun. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, oh, okay. So they kind of just, they stepped up. And then when I was doing little stuff there, is, do you need anything, Mom? Can I help you with da-da-da-da? Not that, I don't think it was that it's not like they scared of G or nothing like that, but it's like, it's somebody else that they know, like, I had to call in reinforcements, you know what I'm saying? And they were like, okay, clearly this isn't just to clean this up, blah, 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 and then I'm going to do it myself. Because no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Now, when I did go clean up the kitchen or whatever, it wasn't a whole mess. And Renata was cleaning up her room. So it was like, I want this done now. So I'm going to do it now. And it was just a few dishes to throw in a dishwasher or whatever. But it was nice to not have to be like, y'all need to clean this up. Why do I always got to come home and da-da-da-da? And it was just together. I did do most of the cooking this week, which probably sounds crazy. Like, I'm not complaining, but when as your kids get older, they cook more because they're learning how to cook. And this week I messed around and made one thing, and they were like, okay, well, can you make this? And can you make this? And I was like, hold on, I'm supposed to be a part-time job now. But I love cooking and it's fine. But it's just, when I cook, I would at least like there to be leftovers for the next day so I can take something to work. And there just don't be no more. So I'm
they
like,
gotta eat it.
Yeah, and they're not little no more. They're not like, 5 and 7, and like they eat regular meals. So I'm like, I either know how to cook for an army, or I don't know how to adjust. Like it's either difficult. Because I'm used to cooking big meals, and then it's like, oh, stop cooking so much because they were so small and it's gonna go to waste. And now it's like, I try to cook in the middle, and that's not working either. Gotta figure that out.
Yeah, I did some cooking this week. And not most of it. I guess I made some soup. We in that time of year, it's like, oh yeah, y'all gonna be eating soup. Whatever's easy and the least expensive. Yep. And so I made a double batch of the soup that I normally make. But I couldn't taste it while I was seasoning it because it was too hot and I kept burning my tongue.
Okay.
And then I was like, well, I don't know what it tastes like. Y'all just gonna have to season it, it's all together, but I'm sure it needs some more seasoning. I've seasoned it, but because I doubled it, I don't know if I seasoned it enough.
Okay.
And so I went and lay down because, I haven't been feeling good. And so that's what I do every day. It's like I'm cooking, but I'm not eating.
Mm-hmm.
They're eating it. It's like, so if y'all needed to taste some way, y'all got to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been fun to try to kind of alleviate them of that because they've been doing a lot of the cooking.
Yeah.
Nevaeh been making all the steaks. She can cook a good steak now. I'm like, okay, Nevaeh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then Mariah cooked the other day. She cooked with nobody asking her, which was like, okay, now I appreciate that. And kind of giving them the kudos for when they do that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when you need to clean up, but we've said that when you tell them after they already started, how irritating that is. Well, she just decided she was going to cook dinner. She was really trying to cook for herself.
Mm-hmm.
But then she realized I could just make more, so she made this chicken pasta. It was like a chicken penne pasta and a white sauce. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she made enough for everybody. Like, okay,
nice.
Thank you, Mariah. And she cleaned up her mess. And it was like, okay, you growing up.
Mm-hmm. Renauda was on the kitchen floor. I walked in there and I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be washing dishes. She was like, I am. And I was like, okay, how are you washing dishes from the kitchen floor and the sink's over there? I think I talked about this. And she's like, I was about to. I was like, okay. Now she had a little attitude and I had to tell her, like, you know what I'm saying? I understand I started this, but you need to watch your little attitude. However, I'm going to let you do what you do. So I went out the kitchen. I came back and she's doing something else. And I'm like, that's not washing dishes. She's like, I had it. And I'm like, listen, you didn't have to do anything else but wash the dishes. Like, what is this extra stuff you're doing? You're doing everything but washing the dishes. But I noticed, like, every time I came in, them eyes just got lower and lower and lower. And I'm like, I don't care about your attitude. I need you to wash the dishes. Like, but having her, I don't think she has a good sense of time. Yeah, like I still think she knows when we're going to be late and she doesn't like that. But other than that, she doesn't have a good sense of time. So I'm like, I need to help her with time management because if I say go clean the kitchen so I can cook, that means I want you to do that right now. And I don't mean like she doesn't understand that I want her to do it. It's just I need to help her understand the urgency behind when I ask her to do something. But we had one of those moments and I was like, I paused because I remember that conversation and I was like, okay, let me just let her do it. And then when I just went away and found something else to do, she did it or whatever. Just took her longer than I wanted it to. And I also need to relax on that, I think. Like, or start her earlier. Hey, blah, blah, blah. Wake them up like we used to get woken up. Because I, like on the weekends and stuff, I just let them get up when they get up and they do what they do. I used to get woken up to old school, like loud as hell. And it's like, okay, clearly it's time for me to get up and start cleaning up. But I don't want to startle them out of their sleep like that. I just want them to,
It won't startle them, but it might, give them a reason to get up.
I don't want them to have PTSD to real good music.
Well, no, I started for Mayana, keeping her on track. I'll set a timer. And so I just do a check-in, because it is very difficult for her to, keep her attention on whatever she's doing. So initially I'll start off with a 5-minute check-in every 5 minutes. Like you cleaning your room and I'll come in and every 5 minutes it should look a little different. And if it doesn't and you sitting in the same spot, then we have a problem. And so that worked. And so I started kind of increasing the time, the increments. So I'll do a 10-minute check-in. Might do a 15 or a 20-minute check-in, but I try to give her the option first. I'm going to give you time to clean up. Do I need to do a check-in? And she'll say yes or no. And then I'm like, okay, well, so I'm going to give you 20 minutes. I'm going to come back and check in. That's me giving you a moment of no check-ins. Let's see how far you go on your own. And that has been helping kind of keep her on track. She's so funny. She has a friend in the neighborhood and a cute little friend of hers. She's a very sweet little girl. But Mayana just wants her to come over. I'm like, she can come over. I don't mind. But you still got to do your part, though. When you get up in the morning, clean up your room. Put your stuff away. You shouldn't have dirty clothes all over your room. Your room shouldn't smell the way it smells. Like, let's get to it. Because one thing, I think as a kid, you learn when your friends come over and your room is a mess, they're going to go to school or they're going to, it'll be some story told about this mess that you have in your room, and you don't want to leave that impression. You don't want to give people that opportunity. And so you should care. You should care a little more. Not your house is a mess and you invite people over anyway. Because come on now, we can't do that. And so, having that conversation with her, she's 10. She really doesn't necessarily get it. She's still that kid that runs around with messy hair. Like, she don't care. And so, but she's growing a little more observant of certain things and taking care of her own personal body and her hair, and looking nice is something she's been trying to really change.
Because she didn't give a fuck. She'd be like, I'm gonna grab this and I'm ready.
And you know what?
But I like that about
Mariah
kids.
was like that. Yeah. And I've always struggled because I'd be like, oh my God, what the heck?
Let them walk out however they're gonna look at. And people used to look at me crazy and talk about me and some more shit. And you know what? And my daughter knows what she wants to wear. To this day, she knows what she's comfortable in. She knows her own style because I let her figure that out on her own.
Oh, but it's a struggle.
Oh, it was stressful.
If you're looking like
think
you
seeing
think
her
you about
in
to go somewhere with me
plaid and
like
polka
that?
dots was comfortable for me. It was not. I was screaming on the inside.
Like, can we sit down and do your hair at least? Can we?
She would give me one. I'd be like, do you want a ball on your head or do you want a poofy ponytail? And she said poofy ponytail because she didn't like her hair done until like Ari did it, which is annoying to me. She'll let Ari do whatever. And even if it hurts, but when I do it, she acts like I'm murdering her. So I'm like, whatever,
That's normal.
it's fine. But I used to take it personally because I didn't know that because I never had a daughter before. But yeah, it be your own kids. And like she used to literally be like, Mama, no, Mama, no. And I'm like, I picked up the ponytail. That's all I did. So I was like, when I first started doing her hair like regularly, like I don't care if all you want is a poof ball ponytail. We're not doing that. I need something that's gonna last like 2 days or something. I went and knocked on all my neighbors' door, and thank God they were all Black at the time. I was like, I am not killing her. I am doing her hair. They were like, child, please, we know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because they going through similar things or went through it or whatever. I was so thankful that my neighbors was Black. Because,
Oh my goodness. I don't know if did I ever talk about the neighbor who they thought we was doing something to our kids?
The one that you... Yeah. Well, I don't know if you talked about it on here, but I've heard the story.
It's just, living in a neighborhood. We had been in that neighborhood for a while. I can't remember how old. It was Mayana, I think, that was doing all this crying. And it had to have been like 2016. So she had been like 2, and she was just at that age where she did not like to go to bed. And, some kids are like that. And then some kids are not like that. And it's interesting just seeing the different dynamics in kids. And so she was one of those kids that was a hot summer evening and, it was uncomfortable in the house. The AC is on, but, it's bedtime. It's after 10, you need to go to bed. That's it. I don't all the crying and screaming you're doing, okay. It's not going to change my mind.
Good night.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat you to sleep, but, I guess you're just going to cry yourself to sleep. And she would cry. The window must have been open. And the neighbors to the right of our house, there was like a 4-plex apartment. And there were some folks over there who, we don't know our neighbors. And they hear her crying and they decide, and they were drunk. They decide, come knock on our door in the middle of the night to check. Just to make sure these children are okay. And G answers the door, and there's this little skinny white lady. And then there was a white man also down at the bottom of the stairs or something like that. And they knocked on the door and let him know that they heard some kids and they were just checking and were wondering if they were okay. He was like, no, they're fine. It's okay. He goes to shut the door and she puts her foot in the door. And he's like, excuse you?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not going to let you just shut the door because obviously these kids are not okay, kind of a thing. And he's like, woman, if you don't get, I don't know what she thought was going to happen, but it didn't work out in her favor. No. I can tell you that. We own it. This is my house. I don't care who you are or what you think you're checking on. If you really feel like kids are in danger, then call the police and send them here. But it's not your job. To come police my house after 11 o'clock at night. I'm sorry. I don't care what my kids are doing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was an interesting night because They called the police
Mm-hmm.
as if G did something wrong
Mm-hmm.
when they were on our property. And the police came, and then they got belligerent with the police. And it was a whole thing. And it could have gone very different.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of those things. You never know when the police show up how it's going to go,
Man.
no matter if you're in the right or wrong. Because we knew we weren't in the wrong.
And he's a big black man.
He is a big black man. This little white lady saying that he anyway, hit her or something. He didn't hit her.
She could have got him killed or anything.
She could have. But I think her drunkenness and her belligerent allowed the police to see what the real problem was. And so, again, it didn't work out in their favor. I never seen those people again. And we still own that house in the neighborhood. I don't know if they just ended up leaving or they just stay inside. I don't know. But they never came knocking on my door again. But it's just interesting what the neighbors think, what's going on. You know, I remember being concerned living in apartments. I only had one kid living in an apartment. And then moving into houses, you know, with all these children. I talk about it with them all the time. Like, I couldn't imagine living in an apartment with my kids. But they don't know how to behave in an apartment where you have to consider the people above you or below you or next to you.
And you know, it's funny, my kids never really had too much when we were in apartments because we tended to be in the couple apartments we stayed in that we had neighbors next door, but nobody above or below, except for the one where I had to tell my neighbors I wasn't killing her. But the one above me, she had more kids than me, and her kids used to, I mean, when I tell you run from one room to the other, but I'm not one of them neighbors.
Yeah.
I understand them as kids upstairs. And me and my kids sleep through everything. So I don't. And then one time she came in like, I'm sorry if we're making. I said, listen, y'all are fine. I'm not that neighbor. Go ahead and, you know, live your life how y'all live your life. Now, please don't take a hammer to the floor or nothing. But you know what I'm saying? Just because that would be annoying. But like, I've never been that neighbor. But I know people who have been in situations where they got one kid. And I know for a fact that this kid is not a crazy wild kid. They just walk in. Or the people are just walking, but the apartments are built shitty.
Right.
I don't want to say shitty. Maybe that's not the right word because
There's
I'm not
enough
in construction.
insulation to kind of
Absorb
take down, the noise.
So anything that's going on, you can hear and it's like that at my house now. Like the upstairs, when you're downstairs, you can hear everybody walking through the house. Like you can hear it. And I'm like, okay, it's been a minute since I've experienced that, but you know, and they'll complain to the neighbors. They're hitting the, you know, ceiling with the broomstick. And like, for what? Like, people are literally just living. And, like, I got to walk around like, that's wild.
I think if you live in an apartment and you expect that silence, that maybe you should consider living somewhere else. You know? Like, the only place I've ever really had that silence is in my own house.
Yeah.
You know? But, yeah, I had Anthony he wasn't an extremely active kid. He was just a kid. Yeah, my neighbor used to hit the ceiling. It's like, well, he ain't even doing anything. We just sitting up here. And I know because I'm right here, you know?
But then they going to think you lying and you just trying to say that your kid not doing what your kid ain't doing.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's like, I don't need to, I don't know. But I'm happy that we don't have to deal with that. But then my kids would grow up asking, they say, I wish we lived in an apartment. I'm like, oh, I don't think y'all could survive in an apartment. You know, it's nice to know, you know, when you live in an apartment, you got neighbors, there's friends, it's a community. And I miss that
usually
part.
A pool.
Right. You got recreational stuff. You got whose music is that? But yeah. I'm like, but sometimes I think I want to live in an apartment.
You can't. There's quiet hours, and not that there's not like respect for your neighbors when you're in a house, but when you are in a house, it doesn't have to be so quiet because the noise is like you're not connected to anybody who's going to hear it. Now, if your windows is open, like we got a lot going on in my house. There's, you know, music and there's gaming and there's all kinds of stuff going on, and eventually there'll be a little bit more going on. But and my neighborhood is actually kind of quiet considering where it's at. But when we're in there doing whatever we're doing, you can't really hear a lot of it outside the house unless a window is open.
Yeah.
But when you're in an apartment and you have neighbors connected to you, you can hear them talking. And not in every apartment, but I've had apartments where like literally we'd be having this conversation and they can hear us next door. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like
they can hear all of it.
They can hear everything.
Right.
All the stuff. It was like, I don't want that.
I don't want that.
I don't want that.
But I do miss having that community, having the rec room and the pool and all those. Yeah.
Yes.
Accessible amenities that are just available to everybody whenever they want. I miss that part.
It used to be less bills in an apartment complex, but as I'm moving people into like all these places or whatever, they got water, sewer, garbage too. Yeah. Like, why do I have to pay all this in an apartment complex? Like, this is supposed to be my first apartment was all utilities included. And that means everything was paid for by them. I just paid my little $535 and that was it. Ooh, I miss that rent. But yeah, like there's stuff that I do miss about apartments. And you kind of got people who naturally look out, you know what I'm saying? Or in the type of apartments I've lived in, there's people who are always outside and they kind of know who's supposed to be around here and who's not supposed to be around. And, you know, because I had somebody playing on my door one time. They was throwing like little dirt. I don't know. I came home and there was dirt stuck to my door. It was kids. But then, you know, they're like, you know, this was so-and-so if you want to go report it to the manager. And I'm like, I want to go report it to the manager. Like, that's a lot. I'm going to go talk to their mom and, you know, let them know what's going on. It never happened again. But I could have been one of them people like, yeah, I'm going to go tell the manager, and they could have got evicted. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's stuff that I don't miss about apartments. Right. The people like that are like, I'm going to go tell the manager, blah, blah, blah.
But that's not the only way to solve problems.
Right. Like, let's start with the mama. Now, if she want to get ignorant, then okay, well, yeah, now I'm going to go tell, since I can't handle this with you. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because clearly, if you're getting ignorant with me, that means this is going to continue. So, I don't know. But I do miss that. I do. Because like I'm not really a neighbors person. I'm not a get to know your neighbors type of person, but I am. My last neighbors, we did get to know them really well because they were super into Halloween and they built out their whole little Halloween thing. And Renauda that is her jam. And she was like, what is this? What's happening? And then so we kind of connected so she can help them decorate and build stuff or whatever. But that was probably the only time where I like naturally was like, okay, I can get to know the neighbors, but I'm not really. And my neighbors where I'm at now, everybody minds their business. So like nobody's out like, hey, how you doing? Like it's none of that.
I don't. My neighborhood is different. When I first moved in, one of the things that attracted me about my neighborhood is how nice and put together, you know, everything is. All the houses, the yards are well maintained. It's quiet. It's peaceful. It's not a lot of people park on the street. Everybody's parking in their driveway, which, you know, who really cares? But it just seemed like a nice, peaceful neighborhood. And since moving in, we're the house that stands out. Right? We got extra cars in the driveway. We park on the street. The kids play. They leave their stuff in the yard. Like you can tell there are kids who live there. And my daughter often leaves her bike in the street or on the sidewalk or in the yard. You know, she has no care. And constantly having to remind her about stuff like that. But, you know, I feel like our house is well used, well loved and well used. But you know there are kids that live there. It's not a lot of houses in my neighborhood where you can tell there are kids that live there. And the neighbors stay to themselves. But, you know, I think when we first moved in, it seemed a little more friendly. The neighbors come out and talk and say hi. And then over time, things have changed to where it feels like there's tension sometimes. But there's not a real reason for it. But so it's interesting. But we know a couple of our neighbors. Now, Mayana, she knows all the neighbors. She knows the neighbors up the street, down the street. She says hi to the people with the dog. You know, she knows everybody. She's a little social butterfly in our neighborhood, but she's about the only one. Yeah. I'll be like, now who is that? And what do they do?
Renauda used to be like that. And then she'd be like, you know, the one neighbor that blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, then she started telling me their whole life story. And I'm like, for real? Like, when did you learn this? And it's from their kids. You know, y'all kids be telling y'all business to anybody who will listen. And she told me what her little friend she made while they was sitting there playing in mud and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And who was this? And then this is when she was younger. She was like, the white lady with the yellow hair. And I'm like, okay, I got to find out who the white lady with the yellow hair. And then we'd be driving. She'd be like, her. I'm like, first of all, let's not point at people. And she had no inside voice when she was little. So, and she had no cares. It's like, yeah, I was talking about you. What's the problem? I was telling my mom something. Like, and what are you going to do? And so, it was weird. She knew all the neighbors. She knew all their business. And then Donald was like that too, but he was more like Renauda was dragging him along to meet all the neighbors and find out all their, not that she was going to find out all their business, but they would be like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And this is going on. And I'm like, wow, that is a lot of information. I told them, don't be telling nobody nothing that I have going on with in my household. Like, it's none of everybody's business. Like, I don't know what, y'all might be out here saying, but don't. Because, like, the stuff I found out about people through their kids telling my kids is just wild.
So you gotta think, what do they know about you?
My daddy in the halfway house. What? Like, don't, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Like, don't, let's not,
Yeah.
But we never got to our weeks. We just went all into the
We didn't. We just been talking.
Yeah.
Well, I did. We talked, spring break, the kids.
Yeah.
It was we're at the end of spring break and I'm like, what did we do? We didn't do anything. G took the kids to the movies yesterday. They got to see Snow White. I wanted to go. It was going to be a whole family thing, but Mariah wasn't in the mood, so I decided to stay home with her.
Okay.
Let her choose what she had to do. And so they all went without me, so I feel left out a little bit because I wanted to go. I did want to go. I really don't care about the movie, but I just like
just the family time.
I like to do stuff as a family, to get outside, the house and do something fun. And so I might try to find something else for them to do with them today. It is nice. The weather has been great. I think I told you, my kids saw the sun coming out and was like, Mom, it's going to be 74 on Monday. I was like, okay. They was like, we should go swimming. I was like, this is not swimming weather.
No.
And they were like, yes, it is. I'm like, no, it's not to me. We are in the spring. Yes, it might look like it's swim weather. And it did get a little warm.
It did. It got up to 82 on Tuesday.
But it wasn't weather that I'm going to go swimming in.
Well, here's the thing. It's raining. It's thundering and lightning. This is the Pacific Northwest. Don't let that sun lie to you. That's not what this is.
I'm like, it is not summertime.
They threatened us with a tornado that was not coming.
Facts.
But the weather was, it was wild, but it was like, I had my window open. It felt good.
Well, I was like, so I'm at home and it's warm and the window is open. It feels hot. So I got the fan on, but I'm hot and cold at the same time, confused. Because I'm under the blanket. Like, well, it's kind of cold, but when I stick my leg out there, or when I get under the blanket, I'm too hot. But I don't know what to do because I got to have the fan on because it's warm. I felt like I was going through it. Like, what is happening? It's hot and cold at the same time. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Wacky.
No, it was like pretty much I worked this week. I took Wednesday off because it's the anniversary of my mom passing. And I was like, I'm not doing participants. I'm not doing work people. Like, no offense to them. They, great otherwise. But sometimes it's just too much energy. You know what I'm saying? And I just didn't want to be bothered. And I was like, I'm going to stay at home and I'm going to rest and relax. And that's when I cleaned the kitchen, my bedroom, the hallway, closet, and like did my whole little ADHD thing. And then I talked to you and I was like, I was supposed to be relaxing, but I ended up doing X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, now I'm going to relax. But then I started doing business stuff and I was like, I don't think I did, but I think I did what I was supposed to do that day, but I didn't do what I planned on doing, which was, I'm like, I'm just going to watch movies and relax. And, if the kids want to go somewhere, depending on what the weather looked like, because I kind of wanted to be outside, like nature outside, not outside, like what's happening outside. And, but I was like, it immediately after, sorry, my back was started itching. Immediately after having that day your kids wanted to go swimming, it dipped, the temperature dipped back down. It started raining immediately all day. And it was like, yeah, I don't want to be outside. I just want to raise my windows up and let the fresh air come in and let natural light come in. And chill. And then I was just, once I did that, I was like, I need to fix my speaker. So I was like, what I want is to turn on some old school and just go through here and just do everything, like gym clean the house is what we used to call it. But yeah, and then Thursday, the second baby on my caseload that's due this month. I have 3 babies on my caseload due this month. First one was 2 weeks ago. The next one was she was born. The baby was born Thursday. So then I'm waiting on one more baby to get here. So that was super exciting, and I don't work weekends, but she called me kind of frantic, and I went to do a whole mediation thing at her house to kind of help them get
Transition.
through. Yeah, there's just a lot going on, a lot of unsaid, and a lot of so like somebody does something to you, right? And I'm not putting this on any particular person involved in their situation, but just scenario. Somebody does something to you, it hurts. Y'all have a conversation where the person apologizes to you, and then conversation is interrupted, and then everybody expects you to move on. But you're not allowed to voice, how you felt or how you were hurt by it or what was going on. And then other little stuff happens that keeps piling up on it. And they're like, well, I apologize to you. I'm like, yeah, you apologized to me, but I didn't feel heard in the situation. Is kind of where things can go really left, right? Because you're thinking it's all good because you apologize, but you over here is feeling like, well, yeah, you apologize, but maybe once I voice how I'm feeling, you'll understand, and then you'll apologize for what actually hurt me, not what you feel like you did. And then that full conversation needs to be had, or as other things go on and you keep bringing up, well, this happened and this happened. Well, I apologize. Yeah, but you didn't listen to me. Either because it got interrupted or like whatever. It was kind of like a situation like that. And they were at a crossroad where this needs to be done now. So I spent 4 hours on my Saturday, which I am going to flex next week. Spent 4 hours on my Saturday, like, helping them figure it out. And they ended up in a way better place. And it was more than 2 people, it was several people. And I had to remove some people literally from the house, not physically remove them, but literally like, hey, why don't you head out and let them have this conversation? And then I had to be like, let them get this out completely.
Counselor Renauda.
Then you can respond. And then you can say what you need to say and how you understand it. And then let them respond. And then y'all can have a back and forth conversation, because you're not going to get it without hearing each other out completely. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I posted that. I don't know if you saw when I was like, I had a moment today where I realized I really have some. I need to stop being humble about my skills and abilities or whatever, because I was just naturally doing me. Because first of all, I was just going to see the baby, really, and support her and make sure she was good. And then it was some, I feel bombarded and blah blah. And I'm like, how? This wasn't planned. This isn't an intervention. This isn't a jumping. This is what y'all started talking, and I don't like how y'all talking. And what y'all not gonna do, and what y'all can't do is punk me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say that I don't care, because I do care, but like, I'm not emotionally invested in the same way as y'all. And what y'all not gonna do is sit here and disrespect me while y'all trying to get y'all point across to each other, because I'll air all this out. This is not what we're here for. And at the same time, all this needs to stop, because this baby feels everything that happens. And then everybody kind of looked at me, and I said, I mean, we can have this conversation now, but y'all need to have this conversation for real. Then one person was just a little too energetic, and I was like, hey. And they were like, well, I just need to leave. Okay, bye. Maybe that's what's helpful, but that's what they need to do, because they're working on themselves. So they had to, remove themselves. And then they came back, and I was like, they're still in the middle of a conversation. I'm gonna need you to. And they were like, well, can I just grab some stuff? Go ahead. Then they went out, and then they were still having their conversation. And they were to the point to where they were able to start to do this and respect each other as they're having a conversation for themselves. So when the other person came back, I met them outside, and I had a separate conversation with them, because I told them they need to be able to have a conversation without that other person. So there's no crossing communication.
Right.
And then them being able to communicate effectively will help, what's going on with the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So I met them outside and started talking about interventions that I feel that would be helpful for them. And they agreed. They're like, I know I need some, supports in this, that, and the third. And they're like, I don't even talk to people. I don't even know why I'm talking to you. And I was like, that's just who I am. That's the energy that I present. I am a healing spirit and I understand that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is part of my life's mission on this earth is to heal and to help people heal. Or whatever. And so we just got an agreement about, how things are going to move forward. And I said, but we're not going to be in like la la land and think everything's perfect from now on, but this is a tool that I need you all to use.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one person started apologizing. I'm so sorry. And I said, I wasn't worried, scared, or anything like that. Can't nobody punk me in these streets. Like, that's not what we're doing here. But I needed to step in assertively to let y'all know that this is not effective and y'all are not going to get anywhere. And I said, I didn't have to raise my voice. I don't raise my voice.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I am I didn't say quiet. I think I said I'm a calm force.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I say what I say and it is what it is. And you can't argue with that. Like, I am level-headed and I'm logical regardless of what some other people think. I like it, and it is easier when it's not your business.
Put that in there.
I had to because I did.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not in it, you can be extremely logical and rational. And I'm telling people a person in a situation who feels like they're authority, like you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you need to relax. And I had to snatch them up out of their, well, blah, blah, blah. No. Everybody here is an adult. You're not authority over them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not how this works. So without getting into the details of their business, like, they're cool now. And
Good.
I was like, should I go? Like, I don't want to be a therapist. It's not what I want to be. But I do feel like I have some like life coach in me. But not for everybody. I'm talking about for regular people, like, who live real life and got real
people.
No, everybody's not regular people. There are people who don't live in reality. And that's what I mean by I'm talking about people who really go through real life and are not in some people's lives are so separated from reality because of whether it's their wealth or their own delusions or whatever, where they don't know what real life feels like, for the majority of people is what I mean. Like, my passion has always been underserved communities and underrepresented communities. And I feel like I could do that. I don't want to do it from a therapeutic space though. I don't want to do like I was talking to that person about, the type of therapy that may be effective for them. That's the type of stuff I want to do, like real hard conversations. Like, and I'm going to have this, and you could be mad at me. Okay.
Right.
But we're going to have and I'm not saying that there's not a place for therapy because I believe in therapy and everybody needs it, I think. But I don't want that. And how does that make you feel? Well, here are, try these breathing exercises. Like, I mean, I believe in breathing exercises. I believe in meditation and stuff like that. But that's not the angle that I would want to do that in.
I want to be a mediator of sorts.
Like a mediator, a facilitator, a life coach type thing. Like, something I'll have to, put it together for what makes sense for me. But that moment felt like that is why I do this work. You know what I'm saying? And like, housing people is obviously a plus, right? Like, because it's great to get people off the streets and somewhere safe and warm and, whatever, but helping to affect people's lives and giving them tools to be successful when they don't think that they can, and then just letting them know, like, I see you, and I see the growth in you, and I see your potential, right? But not holding on to it. Things that have got me in trouble in relationships can help me in this, right? Because, hanging on to that potential, not a good idea.
Right.
Not at all. But, and then not also, but knowing that, okay, I may see this potential in you, but not giving you that jacket to wear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but letting them know, I can see that you are capable of doing whatever it is you want to do, and that not feeling generic to them. So, yeah, that was a good moment for me. Like, especially after the last couple of weeks that I've had, month. It's not just been a couple of weeks. It's been almost 2 months. Something. I don't know how long it's been. Last couple of little weeks or whatever that I've been going through stuff, it just felt good to be like, okay, that is reminding me of like my soul's purpose.
Right. Yeah.
And it just felt good. And then for all of them to be appreciative, nobody was angry. Everybody left, or when I left, everybody was in a better space.
Well, it just reminds me of sometimes it's good to see the point where you have to insert yourself. Like, people are not going to always ask for what they need because they don't know what they need. Right. So you just, your story reminds me of my kids, or, just watching and observing and allowing them to be them, but also, really stepping in when you see that they need help and they're not necessarily asking for it, but it's clear that there's something going on, so it's good that you have the ability to do that, even if, they're not your kids.
Yeah, it feel like it sometimes. Like caseload, kids, whatever.
Right. It all feels the same. It feels like a responsibility of just helping, right? Speaking of that, I had to check in with Mariah. I've kind of felt bad, like I dropped the ball because, there was a suggestion made by one of her doctors, like, you need to check in, or you need to do a sweep, or you need to do that. And then me talking to her, she's like, you don't need to do that. And listening to her over somebody who is, paying attention to different signs. It's like, I should have done better. Although I don't know that I would have been able to prevent, some of the stuff she's been doing, but still, I didn't look deeper. I didn't take a moment to really kind of look for myself or find her. And so now we have another situation going on with her. But, it just also reminds me that sometimes our kids need more help than we can foresee. And we got to do more check-ins sometimes. And yeah, being a parent, a lot of what I think we've been dealing with in my house lately are the things that people don't talk about when they talk about parenting.
Yeah.
When you think of being a parent before you have kids, it seems like all happy times and just watching them grow and watching them develop and helping them to explore and learn and become a person.
College and marriage and their own kids.
Yeah. But there are so many different levels of things that you have to deal with based on the kid. Everybody is different.
Person.
Yeah. Everybody is different. And we all have our own challenges. And it's difficult to identify challenges that you've never experienced or faced or seen and know how to respond to them, given that that's not been your experience, And I think one of the things I appreciate about my husband is that we both come from very different backgrounds. And a lot of the stuff that I feel like we experience or see are things that have been repeated. I've seen this before. I've dealt with this. This was part of my childhood. This is the normal in my family. And for him, it has not necessarily been that. It's like, this is just, man, this is wild. This is not necessarily normal. Like, I've never experienced this, but always being willing to step up and help and try to figure it out, even when it's difficult or it feels impossible. So I've always appreciated that about him. I think, our kids are very lucky in a way because, they have people that can step up and do stuff for them that where I came from, there was nobody to step in those ways to help out and make a difference. And so some of that is the reason why we have the situations we have. My sister had her mental health issues. She had ADHD. She had a lot of other stuff. And growing up, she didn't have the support that we give to our kids now. And we have a very blended family. We have biological kids, we have adopted kids, we got step kids. We have a bunch of kids. And so they come from a lot of different backgrounds. But, knowing the history of where some of them come from is like watching history repeat itself. Even though we're here trying to stop that from happening, it's just a cycle of just, man, over and over again.
You know what I feel like you both represent like opposite sides of the coin. I know you basically said this, but I was just thinking about how, you know, we were talking about this, so the support that we offer for our kids when they go through what they're going through. I was offered that support from my mom. My mom was very open ahead of her time as far as you know how a lot of people in her generation parented. She didn't parent like that. She was conversations with us, what's going on, what do you need, very open, how can I support you. Not saying that other parents weren't like that, but it showed up different. And that you can be that, you can grow up to be that person for one or two reasons. Like my mom wasn't offered that because she came from the generation of, you know, what is it? There's supposed to be seen and not heard
Do what
type
I say, not what I
generations.
do.
And she didn't like that. So she didn't raise us like that. And then I'm like my mom was because I was raised like that. And it's like you can become that person because you did not have that person, or you can become that person because that person was modeled for you and you know how it feels to be, supported and heard. Like I was telling somebody the other day, and I'm pretty sure I've said it here before, but people forget that kids are people. People look at kids like these are my kids, but these are people that you're raising to be adults. And I mean, they're going to do what they do regardless of whatever kind of rearing or whatever you offer. But I think people forget, like, think about when you was 10. Think about the things that would go through your mind, the things that you were aware of that adults didn't think you were aware of. My mom knew we were very aware. She didn't play those games. We couldn't say peer pressure this. We couldn't, like, my mom never spoke a ill word about my father. Never, not once around me. I don't know what she said when she was with her sisters or, her friends, my grandma and them, but she made sure she never spoke a ill word with an earshot of me, and because of that, I offer that same thing to my daughter. She's never heard me say anything foul about her dad. I could if I wanted to, but why? How is that going to be productive for her? Because of that, no, I'm saying, so my grandmother, though, on the other hand, I love her. That she's one of my favorite people on earth. You couldn't say nothing bad about her. Still to this day, you say something bad, it's going to be a problem. But she was one of those, she went through a lot of stuff. And then she got to a point in her life where she was going to say what she wanted, when she wanted, and she didn't give a damn about nothing. And so my mom and my uncle heard a lot of stuff. My mom was like, I don't want, not that she wanted to shield us from the world, but there's just some stuff that is not for kids. But then there's some stuff, like once they're teenagers, like, okay, I know that you all notice the change in the housing dynamics, or you guys notice the change in my friendship with so-and-so. So if you have questions, we can talk about it. Now, if it gets to be too much or you too much off into grown folks' business, I'll let you know that's not an appropriate lane for you or whatever, and you're not going to disrespect nobody. But I just think it's crazy because there is cycles that repeat themselves. My dad, 6 kids, 6 different women, not there. My daughter's father, 6 kids, 5 women, not really there. You know what I'm saying? So cycles do repeat themselves, but it's like, how do you handle that? How do you break the chain of that? How do you offer those supports and have those conversations? And, like me and my mom talked a lot, but, she also passed when I was 22. And, I was in a domestic violence relationship at the time. So a lot of that stuff in those moments, I didn't hold on to. And then between when officially leaving that relationship and having my daughter was 5 years. And I was doing a lot of healing and stuff like that, but it was a lot of lessons I wasn't, recalling and stuff like that I do now and I utilize now, which is crazy to think. I'm 42. My mom passed at 41, and like the wisdom that she had in her, I think is a large reason why I parent the way I do. But then I wonder if I had had a different type of mom, would I have been the type of mom that I am now? Or because out of spite, kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to raise my kids like that. Or would I be this type of mom because, like, it's what makes sense? You know what I'm saying? Like, would I be a different mom had I not had the mom that I had? You know what I'm saying? Because I know people who, like, you don't have the best upbringing or whatever, so you want a better one for your child. And there's people who hadn't had the best upbringing and like, well, that's how I was raised. And I'm just wondering, like, would I have been
Or it
that's
could be
how
a
I was raised
combination of
kind of
both. I
person?
kind of feel like my life is a combination of both. Like, that's how I was raised, and so I don't necessarily know better or a different way to do it, but I want better for my kids, and so I try what I can try. But to watch history repeat itself, even no matter how much effort has been put towards changing that, has been a difficult pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But that's just parenting. A lot in parenting that people don't talk about or share, that, you have a misconception going in. It's all fun, it's easy, it's all growth, and, it's beautiful. And it is a beautiful thing, but it can be a tough thing at the same time.
Yeah. And I think our generation is a generation that can have that conversation with our kids. Because it's similar to people making it seem like labor is very easy. Like, oh, it hurts, but you'll just have the baby, and then you'll have your little bundle of joy and everything's great.
Oh, Lord.
They don't talk about all the things that can go wrong, the way nurses can mistreat you, the way, like, some chick went blind for a year. Like, all the stuff that happens to you in pregnancy, and because we have that stupid hormone or whatever it is that makes us think, oh, no, it's great, do it again. And not saying that it's bad and not to scare anybody, but, like, I don't want to my daughter to go into this thinking that, oh, I'm just going to be pregnant.
Right.
And I'm just going to have a baby.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I don't want to scare her. I do want that for her because I felt like that's pretty much how my pregnancy went. But
sometimes.
But you need to know that there are other things that can happen. And, I seen this dude said, pregnancy, labor, and delivery is way too dangerous to be having a baby for just anybody. And I was like, ooh. Like, if that had been, with the knowing what I know about how dangerous it is to carry a child and deliver a child, if I'd have had that message a long time ago, not sure if I'd have any kids.
You know what? I think about, think about how many close calls you might have had.
Right.
Or how many people, there was a possibility this could have been and it just didn't. And how many people did have that stuff happen and did have those children with people who were not necessarily worthy.
Right.
Or because we were in a situation or we were having fun at the moment. I'm thankful. I mean, I don't have, I'm thankful.
Yeah. No, I had the one where I could have had 3 by somebody who was kicking my whole ass. But I'm glad, I thank God every day I'm not tied for the rest of my life to that, because I would have never got out of it, because I'd have been like, my kids need their daddy. Not doing that.
Ooh.
Or maybe not, because also now I'm like, she needs her dad, but we ain't got to be together for that.
Right.
We do not have to be together for that.
Oh, man. Life.
That was hard, too, because I was like, I did not want to raise her without her father being in the home. But at the same time, how can I be a fully functioning and effective parent when I'm miserable? You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't miserable just because I had some stuff I had to work on. This relationship was making me miserable. It wasn't what it was in the beginning. And, he went through some stuff that kind of broke him and changed him as a person. And we were not a match anymore. And I was like, well, then just maybe what it was is that we were supposed to create this child, my little miracle rainbow baby, because I, have the RH negative, O negative situation going on. So my baby be like, what is that? Or my body be like, what is that? Kill that thing. And it's a whole baby. Like, why do that? It's science. I'm not going to get into all of that. But, so when she got here, I was like, oh, clearly she's supposed to be here, because we went through, we took all the steps and she's still here. So,
right. That's how I
what I'm
felt
saying?
about my
She's supposed to be here. And, I don't know. It's a weird situation, but I was like, I really had to think about it. I prayed about it. I tried. I gave chances. I don't give second chances, but I did.
Me either.
Because of my child. But I was like, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. People get mad at me when I say I don't give second chances, but I don't, because I give all the chances in the situation. By the time I'm ready to walk away, you've
missed those
exhausted all your
opportunities. Yeah.
It's all gone. It's over. It's done. And I don't. And
I feel like I'm growing. I used to not. I don't give second chances. You mess it up, that's on you. Oh well, live with it. That's how I really used to function. And in some aspects of life, I think I still function like that. Like, if you mess it up bad enough, that's just on you because I didn't tell you to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't help you do that. It was a decision, a choice that you made. And so deal with the consequences. But the more I think I grow on a personal level, the more I realize we make mistakes sometimes. And trying to kind of be okay with people making mistakes. Maybe I'm the sacrifice, or I don't know. Something in our relationship is the sacrifice, but you're learning, you're growing. And so sometimes I find myself kind of questioning, like, well, I mean, I didn't necessarily like the outcome, but this was something they had to go through, and that was just a sacrifice that had to be made. Maybe I can give another chance.
Well, so I'll say maybe I don't give second chances is the wrong way to say it. Because like I said, I do give chance. Like if we're in a relationship or we're in a friendship or whatever, and a mistake was made, there's opportunity to heal from that, right? But I think once I realize a person is not changing and or putting in the same effort, that's what I mean by second chance. Because to me, all what would be considered a second chance is it's all inside of us still being a unit. Once it's broken off, I don't do the coming back thing. Like I just can't, because for me, I've been through too many situations where I feel like people, or seen too many situations where people take that leaving and coming back or whatever and use it as emotional manipulation. And that bothers me to my core. I don't like being manipulated. Like, oh, you're not going to do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm going to leave you. I am okay. Like, this shit might hurt, but I'm still going to be like, okay, like.
I'll live.
Right. I'm going to get through.
I'm never not going to live just because you ain't going to be around.
Like, my mom died. Like, right. I'm going to be okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
No, I get it. I totally get it. We could talk about this for some more hours.
Right.
But I did say I wanted to give a shout out to some birthdays for March, because March is a birthday heavy month. I mean, a lot of months are birthday heavy, but for some reason it's just really been on my mind. So my sister I think she turned 52 this year. And I have to do this with all my siblings because I'm the youngest of 5, right? I know my older sister is 9 years older than me. And so I really think she's like 8.5. So I think she turned 52 this month. But I have to think, well, I'm 43. Yes, okay, she turned 52. My sister had a birthday. My friend Adrian had a birthday. Her daughter Brianna had a birthday. My friend Christina had a birthday. Christina's son Kaiden had a birthday.
Okay.
My friend Janet's birthday, her and her twin sister. I'm still looking to get Janet on the show. She's a real estate agent in Washington and in Oregon. And so I would love to have her come on, kind of like what Doris C. Woods did. Just talk about her business. But I think those are all the birthdays for me for March that I just wanted to mention.
Well, the only ones I can remember right now in this moment, so please don't shoot me. We can talk about it next week. Is I was on Facebook and I seen it's Drew Grizzly's birthday today. He's a comedian out here in Portland. And then my sister-in-law, Daisha, her birthday was on the 26th. And I always feel so bad because her birthday is the same day that my mom passed. So when her birthday comes around, I'm always like, happy birthday, while I'm sitting here like going through what I'm going through. And I'm like, I don't want to put my sad energy off on her day. Not that that I would affect her day like that. Right. But you just thinking or whatever. But I was like, make sure I try and make sure that I at least Facebook like happy birthday every year for her.
Oh, it's Shonda's birthday. It was Shonda's birthday too. I forgot everybody's birthday. I don't think I said happy birthday on any one person's birthday this whole month.
I've missed a few since the last month. I've missed a few.
You know how it comes up. I'll have to put people's birthdays on my calendar. It'll come up and I'll be like, oh, okay, I need to say happy birthday. And then I get into the busyness of the day. And work and kids and this and that. And then our next day I realized, dang it, I didn't say happy birthday. Or 2 days later, knowing that I knew it was their birthday. So
I know my
charge it
brother
to my
felt
heart.
bad. He was like, I talked to you and everything, and I didn't tell you happy birthday. And I was like, it's fine. He's like, no. He said, well, did you have a good time? I said, I had a great time. That's when my last birthday, we went to, I said, I was lit. We went to Norma Jean's after the paint and sip, and
we was chilling.
Well, yeah. He was like, I wanted to pop out, but I'm like, I don't know. It's all good. Like,
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So happy birthday.
It happens. Happy birthday, y'all.
Yeah.
We're gonna, listen, you already know how our memories are. So don't be feel no type of way if we didn't say.
Yeah, if I left you out, I'm sorry.
We'll try and remember and say happy birthday to everybody.
There's some February birthdays that I could have mentioned. I'm sure they're gonna be and they feel.
But we just started today. Moving forward, we're gonna try and say happy birthday to everybody
at the end of the month. How about that?
Oh, at the end of the month?
Yeah.
We're gonna forget. We're gonna have to write it down.
We are.
And give it to Philip so it's in a place where we can remember. Somebody can remember where it's at.
That's all good. Our gems. All right, we'll pass an hour. Our gems for today. I'm going to say, for me, just a reminder as a parent, sometimes it's important to check in on your kids. We can't always listen to our kids and expect them to tell us what it is that they need or how we can help. And sometimes we have to figure that out on our own. But it's an important job to know that you got to do it, especially if they have mental health issues. And when you see those changes in their behaviors, like really check in, invade their space. I don't like to be a burden. I don't like to bother people. But I have to challenge myself to invade people's space anyways, even when I know that they don't want me to, because sometimes it's necessary. And sometimes you can't get to the core of what's going on without doing that. So just a reminder to people to check in a little more than you think you need to.
Yeah. I like that. Mine is going to be a little more self-centered. And that is because I had that moment is stop sleeping on yourself. And I've had, I feel like there's a lot of people who believe in me and what I can do, right? And I feel like it's not that I don't believe in myself, because that's not it at all. Like, I have no issues with that. It's like, so my friend saying, just that he can see me further than what I can see myself. And I'm just like, no, I'm doing what I want to be doing. And he's like, but I can see more. Not that I'm putting it, he's like, not that I'm putting it on you, but I can see you doing more. You need to capitalize off your skills and abilities and stop just being so blah, blah, blah. And he's been saying this, and I'm like, okay, but like, I'm doing what
with your eye roll.
Right.
Don't nobody want to hear all that.
It's literally what that says. That one in particular. But like, just like, it was that in that moment on Saturday where it's like, oh, so now I got to have another one of those I see what you're saying conversations, which is slightly annoying for me. But yeah, just stop sleeping on yourself. Like, if you feel like you can do this, or you're good at that, this one thing, like, the whole, it's labeled imposter syndrome, right? But there's this Black psychologist or therapist, I don't know what she is, that I follow, Dr. Martin. She's super dope on Instagram. And she was like, imposter syndrome is not a real thing. Like, it is the microaggressions and oppressions and things like that that make you feel, especially as a Black person, but more specifically a Black woman, like you don't belong here. Like, you didn't do the work or have the skills necessary to be here. And it's not, imposter syndrome takes it away from who made it a thing. You know what I'm saying? It may not be people actively like, let's participate in making people feel like they don't belong here, which there are some. But, just like systemic, oppression, racism, all that stuff, it was put in play a long time ago, and it's still affecting people. So I just liked how she said that, because it took the vagueness out of it and gave it more of a name, other than imposter syndrome, because that just makes it feel like there's something wrong with you because you feel like you don't belong here, when really it's the environment that's making you feel like you don't belong here. And just taking up that space. You don't have to go the traditional routes to get to the same place as other people. So just And I think that's my thing, why I'm like, no, blah, blah, because I didn't go the traditional route for damn near anything that I do.
Right.
And so just because you didn't walk that straight line to get there doesn't mean that you don't belong there. So
right. Doesn't mean you're not capable.
Right. Stop sleeping on yourself.
I like
I'm going to actively try to stop sleeping on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps us up.
Yes.
We're just at time. So thank you for joining us this week on Talk to Them.
Where every story counts and every voice matters.
And keep coming back.
We'll be here.